Hey there. I know I don't usually film videos of my face and just me talking, but um, today was a little rough and I kind of just needed to get it out and I don't really know how else to do it, so here we are. My rat Fizzbin passed away today, unfortunately. If you've watched any of my videos, you know that he was very aggressive and I had a lot of issues with him. He was biting me, he was attacking his cage mate, he was very unhappy, and for a while I kept thinking, we can find a workaround, I can work with him, you know, I have some experience with training aggressive and reactive dogs, you know, I can work with him, but, you know, the more I spent around him, I just realized I couldn't work with him safely. They don't make muzzles for rats, and there just wasn't really much I could even do around him without getting hurt, because as soon as he saw me, he would, you know, get really aggressive and puff up and try to bite me. And so I just couldn't work with him. And the more research I did, the more people were saying, the more people I talked to breeders and, you know, in forums, and everyone just kind of said it sounds like it's hormonal aggression, and the only thing that will cure it will be a neuter. And even that might not work, but it might help. And then on the other hand, I had a lot of other people, other breeders, vets and stuff saying, well, a neuter would be very expensive and could likely kill him and could very well not work, especially considering, you know, his age, and that it might just be a learned behavior, and that even if you remove the hormonal cause, the behaviors might still remain. And so I was hesitant for a while. I didn't want to put him through it. And, you know, for a while things kind of were going along. I had found a method to kind of work around him, of keeping myself safe while still providing food and cleaning the cage as needed, but I wasn't interacting with either of them at all. You know, I couldn't even interact with my other rat, Tribble, who was very friendly and who liked to spend time with me, but I couldn't be in there without risking a bite from Fizzbin in their play area or in their cage. And so much of my time and energy was just going into workarounds to try and maneuver Fizzbin out of the way, or maneuver him somewhere so I could clean their cage, or try and not get bit just refilling their water bottle. And it was really stressful, and I just kept thinking, oh, well, you know, he and Tribble are okay. He's not drawing blood on Tribble like he is on me. And, you know, it's okay that I can't pet him. You know, we can live like this. It'll be all right. But, you know, the more people I talked to, I finally realized, you know, it wasn't all right. It wasn't a good life for him. He was unhappy. He was stressed. He was just constantly under so much stress and anxiety and fear. He just was constantly puffed up and just on alert. And I mean, he was miserable. And so I finally decided I've got to try something, you know, and I had many people recommend that I just put him down, and I felt like for my own conscience, I needed to at least try the neuter first. So I did, and so today he was neutered, and unfortunately he did not survive the neuter surgery. I'm not entirely sure what caused him to not survive, but he didn't. And so now we have to move on from that. And it's hard because I feel bad, because when I first found out that he had passed, I was relieved because, like I said, he was so much stress on me and my interaction. You know, these were my first rats, and I had all these ideas about what owning with rats would be like, about, you know, playing with them and training them and spending time with them. And here I had this rat that I couldn't go near without endangering myself. And, you know, I still have scars on my hands from the times that he bit me. And, you know, he bit me on the face, and the sight of me just enraged him. And it was really disheartening to know that I was trying so hard to give this animal a good life, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't give him a good, normal life. Sorry. And I kind of just have to accept that. And so I feel guilty that maybe there was something else I could have done. Maybe if I'd gotten him neutered sooner, or if I'd tried something else or tried another vet, or I don't know what I could have done differently, but it feels like there's something I should have done differently that maybe he would have been okay and he could have adjusted and lived a happy life. Because that's really all I wanted. I didn't care if he didn't want to cuddle or learn tricks or sit on my shoulder. You know, that's not a big deal, but I wanted him to be okay, to be mentally okay, not just physically, you know, because I could provide physical needs for him. I provided him with food and water and shelter and a clean cage and, you know, activities to do, but that didn't change the fact that he was miserable and that there was something wrong with him. So I wish it had gone better and I could have seen, you know, because I was prepared to still have to put him down if the neuter wasn't successful. If he was neutered and still his aggression continued, I had come to the decision that that I would then put him down because, you know, I didn't want him to continue living like that. And so I was kind of relieved. It felt like, well, it's a weight off my shoulders. I don't have to worry about what I could be doing for him anymore. I don't have to be afraid of him anymore, because I was afraid of him. And, you know, at the end of the day, he was unhappy, I was unhappy, and Tribble was unhappy because, you know, Tribble, they were both fairly timid when I got them, and Tribble at first seemed like he was going to come out of his shell, but once Fizzbin started becoming more aggressive, he really retreated because Fizzbin would bully him, and whenever he tried to come out of the cage for free roam, Fizzbin would chase him back in and corner him, and I would hear them fighting. And, you know, Tribble was living an unhappy life, and I was living an unhappy life, and Fizzbin was living an unhappy life. And now, you know, Fizzbin is not feeling those feelings anymore. You know, he is free of all that, and Tribble will be okay. I wish I'd planned it better. I'd already been in discussions with a local breeder about getting a few young males to add to the group. My intention was to get them around not long after Fizzbin was neutered, in hopes that once the baby quarantine period was over and Fizzbin would also be through with the testosterone leaving his body following the neuter, so that I could introduce them all together at once, so that Tribble wouldn't have to be alone and all these different things, and so that it would just be a little bit easier, because I don't have a ton of cages, and I was planning to use one of my bigger secondary cages as a recovery cage for Fizzbin. I spent an hour cutting up newspaper for it last night so that he would have something softer to be on instead of wood shavings, because he loved crinkled up newspaper. He would carry it around in cardboard and try and drag it in. It was one of those things that, you know, he was really cute when I wasn't anywhere near him to upset him. But yeah, so if going forward, obviously he won't be in my videos, and that's why. I just figured it would make sense to explain that. Unfortunately, because I didn't get any new rats before I went to have Fizzbin neutered, that means that currently Tribble is living alone, which is another thing that I regret about this situation. I knew that it was a risk that he could die, but I didn't really think he would. Because, you know, he was only about a year old. He was healthy. I didn't think he would pass from this. So I did let the breeder that I've been talking to know what was going on, and she said that she'll get back to me first thing tomorrow to try and get me on the list as quick as she can. You know, she said that usually at her rattery it's first come first serve for litters, but she does try to make an exception for people who due to unexpected deaths have a lone rat. So hopefully, you know, she'd already approved my application, So hopefully she'll be able to get me some babies soon so that Tribble doesn't have to live alone for very long. And so I'm hoping that that will go well, that I can, once the quarantine period is done with whatever young males she's able to give me, that I can introduce them with minimal problems. I'm hoping that Tribble will continue to maintain a sweet disposition. I'm hoping that introducing new, well-handled, good temperament babies from a reputable breeder will be good for him and might help boost his confidence. I'm a little afraid just because, you know, he is of the same poor breeding that Fizzbin was, that without Fizzbin there domineering him, he might develop some negative behaviors because he is a little skittish. And unfortunately, because of Fizzbin's issues, I really wasn't able to work with him at all. When I first got them, I was working with them a ton on getting comfortable with me handling them and all those things, and you know, he was making a lot of progress. But once Fizzbin started biting me, and it was really hard to get in there and interact with Tribble without fear of Fizzbin, that really tapered off, and I feel like he kind of lost some of that progress. He'll still come and climb on me and sit on me and crawl over my shoulders, but he's a little more hesitant. He doesn't really enjoy being touched, and he still kind of protests being picked up, which I try to avoid doing just because he doesn't like it, and I'm trying not to scare him into those same sorts of behaviors because I'm really afraid of him going the same way. Because as upset as I am about Fizzbin dying, I was afraid of Fizzbin for most of the time that I had him. You know, I wanted him to have a good life, but I didn't like him because he hated me, and he just wished me harm. And I wanted to fix him, but I also wanted to protect myself, and so I never really felt much affection for him, more frustration and sadness that he was living this life of fear and anxiety or aggression, whatever it was. And I think if Tribble goes the same way, it will be a little more devastating to me because Tribble, you know, has been sweet and has sought me out and sought my company out and has enjoyed being close to me, or at least seemed to enjoy being close to me, you know, and asks to, you know, climb on my lap and spend time with me. And I'm hoping that he doesn't develop similar behaviors, and so hopefully he won't have to be alone long. I'm gonna try and spend more time with him myself so that he's not too lonely. But I don't know how soon I'll be able to get babies, and I know, you know, most breeders recommend a few weeks quarantine, which is rough, but I don't know, I guess we'll have to see how it goes. But I don't know, I definitely have mixed feelings. Like I said, I'm relieved that Tribble is free of the stress, and I'm relieved for myself that I can actually have pet rats and not just rats that live in my house that I feed and care for that want to hurt me, and that are miserable. And I'm relieved that Fizzbin is free from whatever pain he was in. I wish I could have done something different, and I wish I could have given him the life that I thought I was going to give him. You know, when I got them, they were living in a small, dirty cage with no enrichment, and I thought, you guys don't know how good you're about to get it, you know? I've got a big, beautiful cage set up for you. I have all these plans of what I want to do with you, and I'm so excited to have you and love you, and you're gonna have such a great life, and I'm gonna give you everything you could ever want. And I wanted that for them. And I'm sad that Fizzbin never really got it. That I couldn't really give him the life that, you know, he deserved. So I am a little torn up about that, and I also just feel guilty because I just feel like there's something else I could have done, and I don't know what it was, but I feel like somewhere along the line I could have made a different decision, and he could have had a normal, happy little rat life. So I don't really know what else to say. probably the next video I have will be introducing the babies I get, or maybe just some videos of Tribble, since I'm going to be spending a lot more time with him and actually being able to interact with him in a way that I haven't been in the past few months that this has been going on. So trying to kind of see the light side of things, but I just wanted to give an update, and I think just kind of process it for myself. So yeah, that's all I've got.